The voice sounded more jovial now. Cat got your tongue? There was a pause as though the voice expected Percy to laugh. Leave Dr. Percy alone. You said you could bring back my cat. Why haven't you? She was single-minded, having been frustrated for months of games with Simon, but no reward. Little one, I told you. You have to bring me over first. I can't do it from this side. And once you've been over here, I'll teach you how to do it too. The voice said. The voice said, sighed, like it wasn't there, and this gave Percy something to grab onto. Liar! Parisia banged her head on the arm of the chair. You're lying! This is all your fault. The voice had a force to it that held Percy in his chair. I'm sorry, am I speaking to Simon? His voice was so dry the words were almost a whisper. That name will just have to do. She's only so imaginative, it said. Little one, give me a moment to talk with Dr. Percy, and I'll make a deal with you right after. Fine. She flopped down in her chair and crossed her arms in a huff. Every time I try, I can never get past this part. Humans always get so fussy when children kill children. So let's try something unorthodox. Why don't we make a deal, Dr. Percy? What can I offer you to change your mind about my relationship with Parisia? What are you? He struggled to get out each word, barely speaking loud enough to hear his own voice. He was pinned to his chair by fear and very much wanted to flee, if only he could command his legs to work. You know what I am, deep in your thoughts that you dare not believe, Simon responded. Of course, only because you have such a small mind and no imagination. Children have minds that are so much more active. But let's not worry about me. Let's talk about what I can do for you. For me? He whimpered. Yes, for you, Simon replied. Everyone wants something. This one just wanted her cat back. A moment ago, I was sure you wanted just one more day with your mother. How? The only word he could get out. Come now. Your mind is easier to read than hers, Simon explained. You wear your thoughts on your sleeve, a completely open book. I can feel everything, from your mind trying to deny what you're experiencing, to your bladder desperately fighting for release. Your terror amuses me, but every time I get to this part of the ritual, someone always manages to muck things up. I've tried just about everything, so why not just buy your cooperation? I'm sure you're a reasonable man. Reasonable? He squeaked. Now you're starting to bore me. The voice now boomed down on him as a gust of wind blew through the office. If you continue to be a bother, I'll snuff your light out quickly and deal with the consequences. The force holding Percy down released. He jumped up and ran for the door. Where do you think you're going, Doctor? A bookshelf slid in front of the door, books flying off the shelves and striking Percy. All around him was bedlam, with toys and chairs being tossed aside as though thrown by an unseen force. You started this. Now you're going to be a big boy and finish it. Leave Dr. Percy alone, Parisia belted out. This was the subtle distraction Percy needed. He flung aside the bookshelf and ripped open the door. On the other side, he pressed it closed, finding himself covered in sweat, pants soaked in urine, hands trembling violently, sliding down into a sitting position in the waiting room, just a few feet from Parisia's parents, Paul, a stout 9-to-5er, and Catherine, who had the air of a 50s housewife. The world spun. He struggled to stay conscious. Everyone in the waiting room was looking down at him in shock and confusion. Paul ran to him. "Jesus, man, what happened?" A full spectrum of emotions ran across the man's strong, mustached face. "Where's Parisia?" Catherine was brought to full panic in an instant, hands meeting the soft features under her pixie cut. Paul tried to help Parisia off the floor, but he pushed himself away violently, pulling himself up off the ground by the arms of the closest chair. He turned around and eyeballed the door of his office with an absolute dread. He pointed, arms trembling, fingers shaking violently. Then he just fled, as though for his life, unable to communicate and having absolutely no desire to do so. Sam's bar after hours. Percy's phone rang in his pocket for the thousandth time as Mr. and Mrs. Elders tried to get a hold of him. His hands gripped to the edge of the bar while all 6 beers sat empty across from him, alcohol doing absolutely nothing to relieve him of the tension. Sweat poured from his body and his shirt was deeply pitted. He reeked of piss as he still sat in his wet pants and otherwise stunk of BO. The bartender even made a point to stay far away from him, only communicating with him long enough to serve him, then immediately moving to the other end of the bar. Every few moments, a tremor ravaged his whole body and made every muscle spasm. A miasma of thoughts raced through his mind, many being commands to flee further away from his office. Every fiber of his being wanted to empty his account, buy a ticket to Europe, and never come back. But what was he even fleeing from? He told himself there was nowhere to run, yet he also told himself it was all a shared delusion, the product of having been too emotionally invested in his client. None of it was real. Of course it wasn't real. Nothing like that could be real. He'd go back to his office, listen to the session recording, hear no other voice, feel like an absolute rube, throw himself at the feet and mercy of Parisia's parents. Much as he told himself this, he couldn't pry himself up from the bar and held on to it, desperately wanting to assure himself that it was solid and real. His alcohol-idled mind wanted to succumb to unconsciousness. It begged for permission to slip away, but the fear would not let it. The fear commanded his eyes open, his hands clenching, his legs ready to sprint for the door, to escape Simon once again. He dare not go home because he feared it would be waiting for him there, and he didn't want to be left alone at the mercy of this phantom. Soon his sibling would be there with him, and once again he would feel safe. He'd ask them to spend the night with him so he wouldn't have to be alone. It was an unusual feeling which gave fear a level of physical presence. He'd been alone for years. 2 failed marriages, few personal colleagues he called friends, parents long dead. His sibling Amaranth was the only one he still had in his life. As though hours passed like days, he waited, desperately wanting a sense of the familiar and the safe presence of Am. It was far too long before they eventually showed up. Through his weary, beer-soaked eyes, he made out the slender frame of Am, and for an idle moment, felt a sense of relief. They looked down at him with shock and